I
Welcome
join you.
back to our 20th episode, which, as I understand it, is a pretty big milestone in the world of podcasting. I'm with me, as always, with my host, co-host, partner in crime, Brett, the lone gunman, Atterbury. I don't know what that means. I just came up with it.
This is what happens when you wing podcasts. It's just whatever comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, it's usually garbage. Hey, it's only affecting the two people that listen. You know,
Correct.
We met one of those guys.
That's why we don't mind. We just don't care.
Yeah. Even we could say the most controversial things. No one will know.
Hey, what were you dancing to a second ago?
It's as though I talk to you. It's like how my wife sees me. Like she thinks I don't listen to her. I'm pretty sure you don't listen to me when I'm talking.
Correct.
I had a ditty playing at the beginning of this intro so that we had some music rather than just the two of us going, "Oh, you think it's ready to go yet?"
Okay, why couldn't I hear the ditty?
I have no idea.
Oh. I feel left out, kind of. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
Brett. Thought it is, not when people listen to this, but as we're recording this, it's Pentecost Sunday. So I thought maybe you were filled with a special kind of Holy Spirit there.
Hold on, I'm going to hit this.
Getting your groove on.
There's just some cheering. I had a button for clapping and cheering, so you can't hear anything.
No.
You know what? Maybe if we started using headphones, maybe that would help.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Brett, as you said, it's Pentecost Sunday. It is May 19th. What a day. Anyway, I think our plan today was to jump into the deep end of addressing and maybe covering a little bit about the Harrison Butker, I'm going to use air quotes here, controversy. It's only a controversy if you take everything out of context. If I'm correct, he's Catholic, speaking to Catholics about Catholic things. So in any event, if that somehow is offensive to somebody, sure. Okay. I guess that would make you upset. But there were a few quotes from his speech that we'd like to just, I don't know, maybe touch on a little bit and provide some, for what it matters, some of our thoughts and takes on quotes from his speech. Have the floor, Brett.
Yeah, so it is so interesting. I mean, when you think about it, there are probably every day thousands of people saying things like Harrison Butker said to audiences, anywhere from audiences of 5 people to 500, maybe 5,000. It only becomes controversial because he's famous, right? Mm-hmm. He's the kicker for the world champion Super Bowl winner Kansas City Chiefs, and therefore he has a high profile. He's in the NFL. And suddenly when he says these things, again, to reiterate, Doug, to a Catholic audience, somebody recorded it, obviously, and then it's completely taken out of context. And then just spun, right? It's really sad, but almost funny. It's almost humorous to read how people on the left side of the political aisle will spin this to say something that he did not say.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I've read some things that are so outrageous. I was like, I doubt these people even actually listened to or read the transcript. They just are taking sound bites from, probably their writers. And it's all just about getting their audience all fired up and inflamed about, what an evil guy this guy supposedly is. It's just incredible to watch all of this.
I was actually completely disillusioned by a number of people that I've been connected to on LinkedIn. And honestly, a lot of them were limp-wristed guys who are exactly who we're trying to help. But it's these men who are agreeing with these outlandish leftist takes on what was said and just dogpiling. He'd be like, "Yeah, you're right, sister. Good call. He is awful." And or unfortunately, there's some surgeons that that I connected to over the years, and watching their quote unquote hot take on the speech and making their facial reactions to the speech, and then watching the number of salivating sales reps jump in to say how brave she is or how brave they are for the comments that they're making against Harrison Butker's speech. When I've had conversations with these guys who exactly disagree with the takes where people were speaking disparagingly of the speech, right? So these guys are just saying whatever they need to say to appease their doctors, like salivating lapdogs. And there was a rash of disconnects on LinkedIn that I had to go through. I'm like, I can't even be associated with this nonsense.
So let me make sure I understand what you're saying. So like in reality, in their real life, they agree with everything that Harrison Butker said, but in order to maybe keep happy customer relations with surgeons, doctors, nurses, whatever, they will say the opposite.
Yes.
That is like, so we've thrown around in various episodes here that word integrity. It's like you are who you are, no matter the situation. That includes at work. And it's just such a lack of integrity, or I guess lack of integrity now translated in your words, limp-wristed. I mean, it's shocking. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Are you really that enslaved to what you do in your work that you're willing to completely lie and not be yourself and just say, whatever you think is going to make them happy? You're a slave, dude.
Yeah.
You do that. You're
Or
a slave.
or what about the people that, this is a hot topic, right? Unfortunately, we're at a point where someone speaks their personal views, right? He's not the president of the United States saying, he's not a dictator telling people that they have to do a thing. He's a guy giving us a talk, saying his thoughts on things, right? Okay, well, that's where he stands on that topic. Maybe I agree, maybe I don't agree, but to not only drive the bus at him and then back it up over the guy, just the number of people who comments that I was reading online where they're stay in your lane. What do you know? It's like, well, that's his faith. If he wants to feel that way about his faith, and here's the point that I'd like to make. How many college commencement speeches where did we see online where they were either canceled because of protests? People were vocally booing and shouting down the commencement speakers because of the things that they said or who they were as a person. They were trying to prevent the speaker from speaking. Now, regardless of what you may think of the Harrison Butker speech, you know what I didn't hear? I didn't hear any booing. I didn't hear any people, I didn't hear his speech get interrupted by people chanting and protesting his speech. I actually heard a lot of clapping and a lot of cheering for all the things that he said. So whether or not you agree with his take on his worldview, the people he was speaking to agreed. Simple as that.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a male-only audience, to be clear, right?
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
As you were saying that, I was thinking, what if you did the extreme other end? I'm trying to imagine what that would be. But it's a commencement speech. It's at a very leftist kind of college. They say all the kind of things which would be very offensive to the typical folks that are sitting in the Benedictine college thing, right? Would that be spread out all over the news the next day as the most controversial? No.
Yeah.
And even if it was, I mean, part of me is like, so what? I mean, it's like, I disagree with like everything probably everything that person would say in that speech about everything. And yet, here we are. This is our country. That's what we do here, right? You get to get up and you say the most outlandish things in the world that have nothing to do with truth, capital T. But okay, yeah, that's what you get to say. And so what? It's like, I think it was, how do you say his name? Bill Maher, the comedian guy, who's certainly not on Harrison Butker's side in terms of beliefs of anything. And he was saying the same thing. He was like, so what? A guy got up. He's a Catholic guy at a Catholic college and made a Catholic speech. What is the big deal? So what? It's very strange. But anyway, I thought it would be good, Doug, if we read. He said a lot of things in that talk, obviously, but specifically to what we talk about here, our motto, the great JP2 quote, God has assigned as a duty to every man the dignity of every woman. And so really, that's kind of the part of his talk where it seems to have caused the most controversy. So I think it would be good if we read what he actually said and then talk about it. What do you think?
Yeah. Which one do you want to? Well, I'll let you lead and I'll follow suit because I think I know where you're going to go first.
Okay. So let's read it directly from the transcript here. So there's a part where he now turns his attention to the women in the audience. As you said, Doug, there were women there clapping. So he turns his attention to them and he says, I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. Then he goes on and he says, I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. It cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker. Isabel's dream of having a career might not have come true, but if you ask her today if she has any regrets on her decision, she would laugh out loud without hesitation and say, heck no. So this is the part of the talk, what I just quoted right there, that has caused all this controversy. All he's doing is giving factual information about his personal experience and his wife's personal experience of making a decision. Go this way, do your career thing. Go this way, be a full-time homemaker.
So, Brett, let me just pause there because what I want to do is actually. So you're quoting the speech, yes, but you're grabbing it out of an article, and I pulled up the full text of his speech.
Okay.
So the preamble just before that part, what he says is, for the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak, now this is where your quote, I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now, about to cross the stage, and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world. And then here's where I think that, it gets people bent out of shape. But I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. And then here he now launches in, I can tell you, my beautiful wife, Isabel, will be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on the stage here today to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated. All of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become a wife, and embrace one of the most important roles of all, homemaker. And it goes on to say that the applause lasted for 18 seconds at this point.
Wow. Okay.
And then, right, he goes on to say, she is a primary educator to our children. She is the one who ensures I never let football or my business become a distraction from that of a husband and a father. So here he's pointing out that she has a very impactful role and he is submissive to her because he states she is the one who ensures that I never let football or my business become a distraction. The only way you can ensure that someone is not doing a thing is someone needs to be in a position, let's call it authority, over the other one, right? He doesn't say she tries to tell me that football is too important and I tell her to mind her own business. No, she's the one that prevents it from becoming a distraction from his most important role, husband and father. So
This is it? We also talk about Ephesians, right? The beautiful line in Ephesians. Is it Ephesians 15? Husbands love your wives, wives love your husband. Everybody knows that, and some people, even in the Christian world, still kind of have like bad feelings when they read that. It's like, is that really saying that the woman is submissive? There's that word. But if you really read that whole thing in context, it sounds to me like what Butker is saying about his wife Isabel is they have that exact kind of relationship that Paul describes in his letter to the Ephesians. That's right. They love each other as Christ loves his church, right? And isn't it amazing that I guess it speaks to our culture right now that in Harrison describing his life as a father, as a husband, and how his wife plays her role as a wife and as a mother, it looks to mirror exactly what St. Paul says in the letter to the Ephesians. And look at how our culture, our general culture, our secular culture reacts to that. Like it's the worst thing ever when it seems to me, and I bet you even most secular sociologists and psychologists would say what he's describing is the exact kind of environment that builds a thriving, certainly thriving children, but a thriving couple as well, right? They serve each other. They love each other.
I mean, he heaps on praise to her because he even says, like, okay, look, let's just state as a matter of fact, NFL football players with the achievement that he's with the resume of achievements that he's been able to amass, right? He's successful. He's successful, but he says none of that would be possible if it wasn't for her helping him. Right? Yeah. He's not saying like I did this all on my own and no one has helped me. It's just because I'm so wonderful. It's, we wouldn't be where we're at if I didn't have her as my, helping me along the way.
Yeah. It's just amazing. Like I said, before he came on, I was saying, these same things are said thousands of times a day across our country by people who believe, like Harrison believes, said to audiences, anywhere from 5 people to 5,000. And millions of people in our country believe this way, you and me included, right? And so when he says something, his whole talk, and I was fortunate to hear him talk a couple of weeks ago. He was here at the YCP conference in Dallas, and it wasn't a keynote talk. It was more like a question and answer kind of thing, and some other guy was guiding it. But man, just clearly a young guy, right? I don't even think he's 30, really young guy, but just with a solid kind of just understanding of his faith. I don't think if I recall some of the things he talked about in his story, his journey, like many, he wasn't always like super Catholic. And but once he became more so and really started embracing his faith seriously, not that long ago, he started putting all those things into play in his life, all of the church's teachings, and look at how that's like played out for him. And for him to have the courage to say that, knowing he probably knew that there might be some blowback about this. Even the NFL as an organization, unfortunately, put out some kind of statement.
Distancing themselves from him.
Yeah. And to me, it's like, why can't the statement be something like, Harrison believes what he believes, he says what he says, other football players and coaches in the NFL believe what they believe, and they say what they say. We're an organization that organizes great football. We don't care, right? that's what I'd like them to say. It's like, just stay out of it. It's like, why does anyone care what the NFL says, and who is the NFL anyway? It's like, nobody, you and me, I don't think of the NFL as like these 20 people. It's like this organization that organizes professional football games. I don't care at all what the NFL, which isn't really the NFL, it's just like 20 people representing the NFL. I don't care what they think, right? And so this is America. Just say, yeah, he said it. He plays on a football team. And we try to be a great organization that makes this a great sport for the fans and the players and the coaches, period. Why do they have to come out and make some kind of statement about it? Are they going to distance themselves anytime another football player comes out and says something that's like totally leftist and, at least from the way you and I believe, is very strange? Are they going to distance themselves from that? Well, every time an NFL football player makes a statement about the culture or anything, they're going to distance themselves from it? Apparently not, because some of those players say the most outrageous thing and the NFL makes no statement at all. So they seem to be taking, not really are they distancing themselves from it. What they're really saying is they're taking the other side of what Harrison had to say. That's what I think, at least.
Well, I mean, look, how about this? Okay, it came out this week. Some people saw the video of Sean Puff Daddy Combs, ruthlessly beating some woman in a like on CCTV at some hotel or wherever it was filmed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the full extent of it. I'm not, particularly. It just popped up in a feed, and I read briefly about it, and I saw the video, but I don't see people. Doesn't Sean Puffy Combs run like Ciroc vodka? What Sean John athletic wear or clothing? What about all the things? Where's the call to defund him and all of his businesses that he's invested in? That's pretty damning footage of how he views women. But I don't see the left going like, how dare he beat women? We need to cancel everything that he's involved in. It doesn't ever work like that.
Whereas there's now a petition to ask the NFL to remove Harrison Butker from the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know if they can do that, but certainly the Kansas City Chiefs, they're a team, they're a business. They could, fire him if they wanted to.
Sure.
The petition, from what I read this morning, already has like well over 100,000 signatures. It's like, oh gosh.
I signed a petition that says he should keep his job.
The counter petition. There you go.
Yeah.
We should start that, Doug. The Sheepdog.
It already started.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't kidding. I actually did.
Okay. Who is circulating that, by the way?
Catholic Vote, Brian Birch.
Oh, yeah. Great guy, great organization. Awesome. I know some of the folks that work there. It's a great organization. But,
we need to have him on this podcast.
I'll try to get him. It's just, back to, here's a guy, and granted, we don't have like the inside view of Harrison Butker's family life. Mm-hmm. But from certainly everything I've heard about the guy, everything I've heard him say about himself, his wife, and his family, it's the kind of guy that's living the values, the virtues, striving for holiness everything that we talk about here, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that's doing it, is in, and good for him in the capacity of the fact that he's a celebrity, he's a famous, sports athlete, using it as a platform to like get it out there. And while it's true, clearly, that it's causing people who disagree with those kinds of beliefs to go all bananas. The other side of it is, which probably won't get much coverage, or maybe, we're kind of seeing it in the smaller circles, is it encourages, it's a great model, right, for men, especially young men. Because I think, even I think about like my sons, and their age is very similar to the age that Harrison is. And for them to listen to what he has to say and respect him, that he's a very famous athlete, and that matters to a lot of young men.
Mm-hmm.
This could have like a resounding effect in many young men's lives that we'll never hear about it. Yeah, we'll never know. They're not going to make the news, but kudos to Harrison for just like putting it out there, just not worried about it anymore. And when I heard him talk at YCP a couple of weeks ago, I kind of got that feeling that this is a guy that's now reached a level where he just doesn't really care what people say.
Sure.
Like, this
I,
is who I am.
I
In other words,
respect that.
he's reached like full integrity. He's just like, I don't care. This
Yep.
is who I am. This is who me and my wife are. This is who we are. And I'm just going to talk about it, come what may. You don't have to like me or believe in any of this, but whatever. This is what I believe because I've seen the beauty that it's brought into my life and into our life as a family. And I'm going to use my platform as a celebrity to share that, And what an awesome guy for doing that. He's
Yeah.
not
I mean,
afraid. He's clearly not afraid. Put it that way.
correct. He goes on. I think this is the next point that they talk about is he then addresses men, right?
Mm.
And in the next line, he has the preamble, right? To the men here today, part of what plagues our society is the lie that's been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities. As men, we set the tone of the culture. And when that is absent, disorder, dysfunction, and chaos set in. This absence of men in the home is what plays a large role in the violence we see all around the nation.
Mm.
Other countries do not have nearly the same absentee father rates as we find here in the US, and a correlation could be made. And they're drastically different, lower violence rates as well. But here, this is the part where I think set a lot of people on fire. Be unapologetic in your masculinity, fighting against the cultural emasculation of men. Do hard things. We say that all the time. Never settle for what is easy. You might have a talent that you don't necessarily enjoy, but if it glorifies God, maybe you should lean into that over something that you might think suits you better. I speak from experience as an introvert who now finds himself as an amateur public speaker and an entrepreneur, something I never thought I'd be when I received my industrial engineering degree. He goes on. I don't have to read the whole thing, but
hey, we got to get Harrison on here after this all settles down.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be, I'm sure he's going to be a little gun shy about being interviewed by anybody. But hey, maybe you've got some connections.
Man, I don't know. Maybe not. He's doesn't seem to be too shy currently. So we'll see.
Well, I'm sure through the 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, we're somehow connected to him.
Yeah, probably a couple of degrees, but it's a possibility. So yeah, that's the do hard things and the call to masculinity. I think it's gotten easier. I don't know. Just speak for me. It's gotten easier for me. It could be formation. It could be where I am in my life in terms of age. It's probably a combination of a lot of things, but I don't care either. It's like it's like, do I like Whoopi Goldberg, for example? I'll just use her as I'll kind of use her as an avatar of all these other women. I think of them And, these pink-haired weird ladies you see in all these like demonstrations screaming and all this kind of stuff. I think of them as so weak and ignorant about reality. And so when Whoopi Goldberg says whatever she says about whoever, I think she may have even said some things about Harrison's talk, I don't care at all. I mean, the words might as well be whipping by me. I have no interest in what she's saying because I've come to the belief, just having like listened to her and people like her over time, that they're so ignorant about truth and possibly so far gone and bought into that there's no like reconciling. Does that mean that I wish evil on them? Of course not. But we're so far apart. I'm not interested in what Whoopi Goldberg has to think about anything, truly.
Look, I'll use an example in my own marriage. When my wife calls out to me a shortcoming, something that I'm not doing well as a husband or as a father,
Yeah.
and we've all been there. When someone points out that you're in the wrong, think of how our hackles go up and we get incredibly defensive, and we fight to argue from our position of being incorrect, but we fight to argue that we are in fact correct. But when time passes and you calm down from being, having the mirror shown to you, you realize like, yeah, I'm definitely in the wrong here. So when people are shown truth so often, when you are standing diametrically opposed to truth and truth is shared with you, the only reaction you ever see is just mania. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing now. Yeah. People are so upset. I saw a lot of, and I don't think Harrison is saying that you have to make babies as a woman. Your only job is to get married and have babies. That's not what he was saying. Mm. But the number of people that I saw got all jacked up and acted as though that's what he said. And their response of, I'm a mother and a business person, or I'm a mother and a surgeon, and I do X, Y, and Z. And who is he? It's like, good for you. Congratulations that you're doing both things.
100%.
At the end of the day, look, maybe an attorney, maybe a female attorney has a customer, or not a customer, a client, that when that attorney dies, the client will say, holy cow, I loved what they did for me. They were so instrumental in X, Y, and Z. Maybe that's the case. But I think at the end of our lives, the people who are going to look and remember us fondly or remember us and miss us are our families. And there's that quote, and I've dealt with this in my own professional life. I'm not going to be on my deathbed lying there going, man, I wish I spent some more time working on PowerPoint presentations.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I had driven to San Antonio to drop off that, instrument tray for that surgeon who, was a jerk. I wish I had done that. No, I'm going to wish that I had spent even more time with my family.
Yeah.
So, you can get defensive, but you know what the truth is when you hear it. You just don't want to accept it.
Yeah. Again, just circling back, I don't know why there's such an uproar. It'd be interesting to analyze why. I guess with the way that political winds are these days in the culture, we shouldn't be shocked. He just didn't. He did not in any way, shape, or form say that somebody ought to be doing this, right? He's just saying it's a great option available, and frankly, throughout most of human history, it was an option that most women took. Now, maybe it was true in certain times, in certain cultures, maybe they were forced to do that. In certain cultures currently in our world, they're forced to do that. Not in this culture. He's just simply saying it's a great option to take. And it is obviously a great option to take. I have a a friend who I think probably the reason she made this post, though she didn't directly refer to the Butker talk, but she's a very well educated, highly professional, incredibly credentialed, a lot of success in business, and then made the decision to be a homemaker, and now has 4 beautiful adopted children, anywhere from like, I think one's like a few months old all the way up to like 5 years old.
Mhm.
But she does it full time. And she made a post just, saying how what a wonderful, beautiful decision it was for her, and how she just absolutely loved it, right? So that's the right way to take it. She's not criticizing any women who make the decision to go have a career, or women who do both, who have the career and are moms. Not saying that at all. Just saying for her, it was a beautiful decision. I think that's all he's really saying, right? Harrison Bucker is like, it can be a beautiful thing to do.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. My own wife, she was a speech and language pathologist. She worked with patients, and when our daughter was born, she felt that she was being called to be a mother first, because to her, she felt like this is the biggest responsibility I've got. I either have a human that I made, or other people who also need help, and they need that therapy. But I have a responsibility first to my own daughter, and that's what she chose to do. And we were certainly, at the time, we were blessed to be able to afford to have my wife stay at home and raise our daughter and homeschool and do all of those things. And she I played that speech for her, and I just put it on, let her listen. She was like, "Yeah, right, yes, exactly."
Yeah.
So, oh well, people are going to be mad always about something. Like I bet you if World War II, right, everything that happened in World War II, if World War II happened today, the society that we live in,
You mean
we
World
have
War
people
III?
cheering for the Nazis.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Gotcha. Oh, for sure. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Of
Yeah.
course.
When Pearl Harbor got bombed, there would, like, if it was today, there'd be college kids protesting, like, how dare we get mad at Japan? We're oppressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they just went out, and veering off topic here a little bit, but there's a funny article. I have to find it. They went out to some of these young protesters and like just started asking them some basic questions about the issues. They don't know.
Not a clue.
They don't know.
Why are we here? What's going on?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's nothing but it's childishness. I don't even know why. Honestly, I don't even know why we pay attention to it. It should just be like, you're getting arrested because you're trespassing. You're causing problems here. I don't really care what you're talking about. You can't be here doing that.
Yeah.
And just go over to the public park and do it. Whatever. This is like private property. Get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And then they're making like
treat
hostage
them like
demands.
children. They're just acting like children. It's like, stop it. They don't even know what they're talking about, literally.
Yeah.
Because if you ask them, like even the most basic questions, like, why is this so important to you? They don't know. They don't know. They don't even know the basic problems of what's going on. It's pretty interesting.
The times we're living in, man, it's crazy.
But for men, it's like I'm gonna be praying for those dudes that you were talking about. I'm shocked. It's almost like, if you've got to get to the point as a man, let's just use the Harrison Butker thing as an example. So I'm going to go do this. I think I may already have done it, but I'm certainly going to do it now. Like all the things that Harrison Butker talked about in the positive, share that on whatever you're on, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. If you hesitate to share it, if you believe everything he said and you hesitate to share it, why are you hesitating? Mm-hmm. Like, what's wrong with you? Oh, because this person or that person's going to send me a little nasty private message. Okay, good. So what?
Hmm.
Don't worry if you're not taking action. Gosh, back to your phrase, Doug, limp wristed. You're a wimp. I mean, what's wrong with you? Like, stand up. This guy, what God said was something like basic truth and an option. He wasn't trying to force anybody to do anything. It's like, stand up, be a freaking man, and share it and go, I agree with this. Just do something that simple. If you get blowback from people who know you, maybe you should either try to help them or or quite frankly, get them out of your lives and get
Yeah,
people into your lives who are like strong and can help build you up and be a man. Because anybody that is going to push you down on this, you probably don't want to be hanging out with those people anyway.
sure.
So it's like, dude, if you're hesitating to share something about this, then I think you as a man need some self-reflection about what are you really all about? What's really going on in your heart? Are you where you need to be? The answer is no. Um, so I would just challenge every man who hears this. It's like, I know this has come out a couple of weeks after the big controversy, but still, it's like, whether it's this thing or any other thing like that, it's like, share it. Don't be a wimp.
As you're saying that, I'm picturing two men as evidenced by think of the ocean. Okay. Think of, close into the beach where you could see it. Imagine a piece of, seaweed tethered to the bottom of the sea floor, right? But you can see it, right? So you see it just moving and flowing with the water as the sea does what it will, violent at times, calm at others, but you see this piece of aquatic foliage just moving with the tide. And then a jetty. Picture a stone jetty that juts out into the, past the inner shore, and it's there. It's tethered to the bottom of the sea floor, just the same way this little piece of seaweed is. Do you want to be the piece of seaweed that just flows and bends with whatever the sea is doing? Or as a man, do you see yourself as the jetty, the giant piece of rock bolted to the ocean floor or piled up from the ocean floor that, regardless of what awful weather comes, regardless of what the sea does, you stand steadfast in what you believe in and you act as a jetty? Or do you just bend and move and flow with the water because that's what the world in this situation, that sea is how the world responds to things. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I feel like right now we have very few jetties and we have a whole lot of, flimsy, limp seaweed as men. And those are the guys that I saw. Look, maybe they're great guys. Maybe that just hasn't been pointed out to them.
They're
Maybe they
not,
really believe all
Doug,
these wonderful things.
I mean, with all due respect, they're not great guys. This is the problem. If you don't have integrity, you're not a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. It's like, if you can't tell the truth, if you're like lying and they're lying to do whatever. And think about what they're doing. You're actually now promoting, advancing these, and I'm going to call it what it is, these kind of evil uh, policies, these evil ideas, because you won't stand up against it. So they're not good guys. Could you have fun with them? They're nice guys at the party and you're hanging out. Yeah, all that. But if you get down to what is integrity, integrity is, because I understood you correctly, they believe what Harrison said, and publicly they're saying the opposite. That's a
Mm.
complete lack of integrity. It's not a good guy. I would say those kind of guys are the flowing whatever
Yeah.
little seaweed thing that you talked about. They're the problem. And until you have the guts, it's about to use the other one. So you have the guts to stand up, and knowing that it's going to cost you to do it, because it will, to embrace full integrity and put out there, even at the cost of maybe your job. until you do that, you're not a good guy. You're
Mhm.
part of the problem. You might as well be on their side, you know? So it's not about it's not about like, oh, isn't he's a nice guy at the office and, his great personality, he's really friendly and all that crap. And then you go on, and maybe in his heart, he's a good guy, but publicly he won't express that. Then you're divided. If you're divided, you're weak and you're more of the problem than you are the solution. And until you embrace full integrity and publicly you're the same person that you are privately, you're not a good guy.
Speaking hard facts there, Brett.
Do something hard. Do something hard, man. I know it's hard. You and I've been there, and it's going to cost you. Do something hard, but once you do it, your life will change because you don't have to hide anything anymore, and you actually become more influential, more powerful. And I don't mean that like as, oh, I got power. You influence people because, believe me, when you're not a person of integrity, like you're pointing out these guys that did that, look how it affected you in your view towards them.
Mhm.
You no longer like trust them. You wouldn't believe in them. You're not going to ask them advice on anything anymore. Once someone knows you're a person of full integrity, then you become a person of influence in a positive way. People are going to trust what you have to say because they know there's no backstories, there's
Guile.
no guile, but there's no like duplicity.
Mm.
Like, could this person say one thing and totally do something else over here? And those guys, by what they're doing publicly, my answer is yeah, because that's what they're doing. So you can't trust them.
Yeah.
So do a hard thing. Brace your integrity. Be who, if you're if you're a Harrison Butker kind of man privately, be that kind of man publicly.
Yep. Yep. Amen. Well, Brett, I think that's a great stopping point for this week's episode, number 20 of Sheepdog Brotherhood. Let me hold on. Let me do our little outro. You ready? I don't know if this is going to sound good or not, but here we
Oh
go.
boy. Are you going to dance?
Just waiting. I don't even hear it playing.
You want me to dance for you?
I don't see it. Oh, well, it's not playing. Oh, I got cheering. I was only able to get cheering to work. Well, it's cheering that we're over, I guess. Hold on. Here we go. All right.
I don't hear it, but I'm dancing to your dance.
Well, thank you again for tuning in to this week's episode of the Sheepdog Brotherhood. I'm Doug Hewlett. With me, as always, Brett Atterbury. Thank you for listening today, guys. Have a great day. Have a great week.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.